Nigeria is the most populous black nation on earth, has a lot of her citizens traversing and living in different countries of the world. In fact, there's a joke that in any part of the world you get to and you don't find one Nigeria, you should actually move. That means something nice is not coming to that neighborhood. But then really, significant changes, contributions, development they have done to these countries of, at least that is where they have decided to put up. And building their own reputable profiles as well. Now, South Africa, Ghana, Singapore, just to mention a few, have benefited immensely in the three concentric circles policy of Nigeria, which influences our relations with West Africa neighbors, the rest of Africa, and also the world at large. But sadly, the maltreatment and the killings of Nigerians in diaspora is also a major source of concern to those of us at home, and I'm sure for those of them in diaspora as well, leaving many questions in the limbo. Now, apart from doing well, why will this goodwill that we actually push out be turned to ill will for us or be against us as a nation? Now, these are some of the issues that will readily come to mind as Nigeria celebrates National Diaspora Day, which also is our focus on Nigeria today. Welcome to the program. My name is Blessing Abu. In the studio to look at this topic, I'd like to welcome Ken Bande, Honorable Ken Bande. Of course, Nigerians in Diaspora Organization, NIDU for short, is the chairman for that part of the world. That's Europe. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Ma. It's great being on your program.
Also joining him on set, I'd like to welcome Abdullahi Dauda. He's a NIDO board member, the United States of America, and also co-chair organizing committee Diaspora Day 2019. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Yes, both of you, you have your other things you do apart from just having the being the face of the body in the different chapters, and we'll get into that as the program continues. First, for a day like this, coming on board, celebrating Nigerians in diaspora, what does it take for the average diaspora to actually say, okay, it's a day well celebrated, at least with the activities that we saw today?
Well, today was a great day for all diasporans that at least made the trip to Nigeria. We do this on the 25th of July every year, where we meet and we showcase some of our best in terms of resource and other things, and also bring back to the country some of the things we do out there that will assist in the nation building in Nigeria. So it's also to meet all friends and acquaintances for those of us who have been doing this for a while now.
Okay. All right. Honorable Bani, coming home, yes, I don't know how often you come, but at least for a day like this, for you, what does it hold?
Well, it just makes you think about the popular singing Home Sweet Home. Well, I frequent Nigeria as the continental chair for NIDO Europe. I relate with agencies here in Nigeria, government policymakers, as well as my peers back in Europe. But of course, each time you visit Nigeria, each time you think it's time we all put our hands together, come back home, and make our country work. We see things that we think are not rocket science in Europe, in Germany, specifically where I live. And I can understand why such simple things cannot function in Nigeria. And so part of our mission to Nigeria is to wonder what can we do to make such simple things that are not rocket science function in Nigeria.
Okay, now let me go to where at least you lean most, and which is your, at least one of the many things you do. Of course, you told me you're into local politics as well there, peace and mediation consultant. Now, politics for us here, I know we want to compare notes, but what exactly should it be the way you've seen it, and what is playing back home?
Well, although I was elected into the Hamburg Senate Integration Beirat, responsible for foreigners, specifically for Africa, and I contested an election and I won, and for 3 years, I've never gotten any single cent. As a matter of fact, for 3 years, I give my time. And so you discover that when you do politics for the benefit of serving the people, then you put the people first before yourself. And so I kept wondering that if we say, for instance, that the local government chairman, that the senators are doing politics at part-time basis. If you're a medical doctor, you go to your office, and when you finish for your office, you have a day of sitting where you have to go, and then I think when they focus on money and only on service, then we'll begin to, to probably get things right. People think that going into politics is not a do-or-die affair. And so that's exactly one of the things I can think about. But also the politics we have, I'm not saying it's perfect anywhere in the world, but it is focused towards improving the life of the people. The life of the people, the comfort of the people is put in squarely first before individuals. And people take responsibilities for action. Though I want to serve my community, though I want to serve my people, but if there's a gross negligence that you did not do your oversight function, what you're supposed to do, people say, you know what, I did my best, let me give room for other people to try and probably do it right. I think such things are missing in Nigeria.
Okay, talking about service, Abdullah Jada is a retiree, but you're spending time mentoring and also looking to other aspects.
Right.
What is most crucial for you at this point to actually give out to society?
Well, one of the key things is, I guess, orientation, education, enlightenment, because some of the things I see is lack of those elements that I'm missing. And also then you go back, I think back when I was growing up, how my parents brought me up in terms of discipline. So I grew up in the barracks, so you know you're going to be disciplined. So certain things, don't do it, and the rest. So some of those things with the youth today is missing. So sometimes when I sit down and see youth behaving and the rest, I shake my head and say, that wasn't how it used to be. So education, enlightenment, and orientation, making you, I think recently I saw that they're going to put some of those character training and the rest back in primary school to teach children the right thing. Not that they're not doing it now, maybe they need to be more aggressive. So those concern me because I wonder what type of children kids were training. How are they going to be in the future? And the rest. So that scares me because you get to a point where you have kids having kids or kids being fathers when they're not ready. So how do you handle that?
Okay, now talking about handling issues, this, at least some of those ones that you have raised, amongst many others, that the different bodies, that NIDO or some other ones that and the coming together of this group, harmonizing the group is still a challenge too for those of you in the diaspora. Now we have a Diasporan Commission.
Right.
How do you think this is going to help?
Well, Diasporan Commission is a plus. Actually, it's a bonus. Because some of the challenges in the past that the unity part didn't come, and I think the unity is there. It's just there are different functions. You got NIDO, you got NIDAM, you got ANAPIN, you got all those different organizations to fuse together. NIDO, the federal government already have recognized as the umbrella organization. So because the federal government cannot go to 10,000 organizations to deal with, they need to go one shop and they get things. So I think part of our challenge in NIDO is how do we bring the other organization along with us and carry everyone along, not necessarily just going.
So are you hoping to streamline that? Let's find out more.
Well, I think Elijah just mentioned that the federal government, should the need come out, recognizes NIDO as the umbrella organization. Nigerians actually, NIDO is supposed to be a professional organization. So we have the medical doctors, the accountants, the lawyers, the businessmen, and even the students. And so what we are trying to do is with the bet of NIDCOM, these are all professional bodies, so we'll have to see how do we have them all come together under the Nigerian Diaspora Organization. And so I think it's going to be an added value, for sure. And of course, we are human beings. I always make that mention that when we hear from policymakers in Nigeria, the diasporans are not united. I say, excuse me, PDP and APC, they have issues in the House, they have issues in the Senate. And so it's an organization that has to do with human beings, so we have challenges. So what we are trying to do is to learn how do we master those challenges. Yes, it's a challenge, but I think we're working towards that.
Okay, before we'll take this, I have a clip I'll need to share to you, or at least we spoke with some respondents earlier in the day. But I need you to talk about, part of my introduction, I talked about the ill treatment Nigerians get in the hands of some of the host countries. And it's getting uglier by the day. I'm sure in the recent weeks we've seen parts in South Africa, some other movements in Ghana, and some other parts of the world, really. What's your thoughts on this treatment?
Scary. Absolutely scary. But having said that, the life of every Nigerian, it's worth defending. And that brings me almost to tears when I watch American Marines go down with 7 lives at risk to rescue one single American. And I ask myself, when will Nigeria begin to toe that part? So it's horrible. But I think basically our governments have to speak out. We have challenges abroad. We have some bad eggs within us. There's no two ways about it. It's all about human beings, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But the federal government has to make it absolutely clear that any life of Nigeria taken unnecessarily will have repercussion. Honestly speaking, apart from Honorable Kedabiri, who once in a while make a very strong statement, I must give her that credit. I see a very not so strong response from our government, and I think it has to change. And then we are calling, we've issued out a couple of circulars. We are calling on the federal government to make it very clear to foreign governments that the life of every Nigerian is worth it, and that if they are not ready to do that, we are willing to take laws into our hands to defend ourselves and defend our diaspora community. Having said that, we also have to, I think Lahaji talked about orientations and the way people are being brought out. It's very unfortunate that most Nigerians think that you need to get rich by all means, and which means going to any foreign countries, breaking their laws, and trying to do things is not acceptable also. And so we also make it clear that if you come into a foreign country, you have to respect their laws. If you do not do that, then you have to face the consequences and brought to justice according to the book of the law. But nobody gives anybody any right, for whatever matter, to take the life of every Nigerians, and I think we will not accept that. Okay.
Alaju, anything to add to that?
Well, just to tag what he's saying, he touched on some key things. As the president, whenever he goes out and addresses Nigeria, he tells us we're ambassadors, which is really true. So being in a foreign country, as long as we observe the rule of law and do what the country's rules and say, but if there are other elements that goes outside of that, in a society there's always going to be bad eggs. So it's more for the community, the Nigerian community, actually to try and sensitize them. But where there is a killing or gross abuse, then yes, the government need to come out and speak. But I think the government have channels of that through their foreign affairs and ministry, and I think they can also use the diaspora as another means to talk to and see what is on the ground, because you can't sit here and be dictating what is happening in the country. There you have to either have eyes on the ground, and the diplomats, that's their responsibility. And again, in life or in countries, dialogues and discussion and talking helps, not threats and other things.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I promised a clip earlier, so let's get to see what Nigerians are actually talking about issues of diaspora generally.
The hostility may be as a result of jealousy as well. Nigerians being most industrious people in the race of the blacks, and believe that some of these attacks are as a result of too much showing up on our side, especially when we're in a foreign land, especially in some Africa, as you mentioned. We try to manifest the riches that we have within us as an advantage over the people who are the host countries.
The government needs to begin to take responsibility. That means that our consulate offices and our embassies needs to stand up. Because I remember there was a time in the US, as a Nigerian, they see you, they're thinking of 419, the fraud. But, the president came, the ambassador, they stood up for us, and since then a lot of things have been checkmate. So it's a thing that it's not just the government, it's not just the people, but it's a collaboration that must happen. This must stop. It is not, as a Nigerian, you go to some places like South Africa, they follow you from the airport. I'm telling you, I've heard stories. From the airports, they pinpoint you, follow you to hotel rooms, rob you. What for? You are not a citizen in that country. You are just a tourist in that country. So, but they come here, we accommodate them. Their business become very successful, and we still like that partnership. So I just think that the government needs to do a little bit more.
Views from the diasporans themselves. Now, back to us in the studio. Let's define the kind of stereotypes Nigerians get. Yes, I know for those who are privileged to be born there, perhaps they might not be in that kind of situation like those who will move. And we know Nigerians move in their numbers. Everyone is looking out there that the grass is greener. But really, what is the stereotypes to get across board?
Well, like one of the first speaker on the clip said, we have an element of jealousness there. I think there's a fact in that. The fact is that Nigerians are one of the most dynamic people in the world. There's no apology about that. And a Nigerian man, an average Nigerian man, when I mean man, a man and a woman, we like life, and we work hard to get those things happen. Probably I take myself as an example. I've been in Germany for 23 years now, and I run one of the most successful media organization in Germany. I mean, for a black person or an African, I hate using that word black. Radio, TV, and magazine, and I look at my peers who are Germans, and they find it very difficult to understand how can I come here in the last 23 years and I do things because we are hardworking. Nigerians are hardworking, and so. But unfortunately, some of us also want to make it the very, very fast way, and even when they do it, unfortunately, some of us cannot comport ourselves. I take a very good example. You take a social, whatever means you need to survive. You're into a social system. You get, support from the government, but you're driving a Mercedes, latest Mercedes car, and of course,
the attention is on you.
The attention is on you, and there's somebody who, go to work every morning, leave in the morning, and after 30 years cannot afford and start asking questions. And so they always say, all Nigerians, yes, they now bring in the good ones and the bad ones together, lump them together as mafias, as human traffickers, 419s, and the rest of them. And that's the typical stereotype. The fact is that the green passport, as a Nigerian, you first have a negative impression before they have a positive impression of you.
So are you using the means, you just told me now you operate a radio, TV, as well as a magazine. How is that helping to actually announce this is in the face of Nigeria that you must know and see?
Okay, as a matter of fact, I got into media. I never studied journalism, but I got into media practically to change that stereotype. And I could remember the first time I published my first magazine, and they were telling me, why do you go to America and get pictures and say this is from Nigeria? Because they can't believe that most of the houses were exhibiting in Ikoyi and the Banana Island are actually from Nigeria. And so, but gradually they begin to see that. And when we, out of also, with the bid to promote Nigeria and Africa in general, we started the Miss Nigeria Germany. And they were telling us, wow, do you know what German beauty is, European beauty is? Blonde hair, blue eyes. So what do you think? But that did not deter us. We look at our young ladies who are ready to get involved in the show business. And I'm happy that in the last 2, 3, 4 years, we have Nigerians being the most beautiful girls in Germany. We have Nigerians being, or Africans being the face of Germany. And so we are changing that. The television which we run, which is called African Heritage Magazine, I insisted that all the cast must be Africans, not necessarily Nigerian, but Africans.
And dress African.
And dress Africa. In fact, the setup is African setup, the background is African background. So even when you skip through, watching through your channels, and you see a face, an African face on German television, which is actually not like UK or US, very, very, you know, I won't use that word exotic, but very, very unusual to see a black face on German TV. So having a black face on German TV will make you to freeze there for a moment and try to see what is happening.
What's happening here?
And exactly, and I can say that within the last 20 years, things has changed. Yes, I will look around and say, with the media and other initiatives we've taken, we have had to impact a different changes.
Okay, that's great to know. At least that's one form of investment back there, which can still come back this way and go around the world. Okay, let's take a look at the investment opportunities. Sometimes last year too, I think there was an investment forum with the diaspora, and where are we now, and what more are you doing in that direction to actually look in with this present administration?
Well, the investment forum, that was the initiation last year, and it's going to be a yearly event. So every November there's going to be a diaspora investment forum where we bring foreign investors with Nigerian investors and meet, discuss in terms of taking up business. I know he brought some businesses from Europe, and I was there as a guest, and based on what I saw in terms of collaboration between Nigerian businesses and foreign.
Are there specific areas you're looking at? Because I know every one of you are bringing your expertise. From, you already told me NIDO is made of professionals, doctors, accountants. Those are some of the ones you listed. So are there critical areas you want to see this investments look into? Well,
the investment really is vast, because there's agric also. How do you bring agro business and mechanize and bring it? Because when you talk about agric is not just going to farm and farm.
Sure.
It's end-to-end logistics. So from the input all the way to harvest,
not just for the agric.
And you can employ a lot of people to do that, done properly, but not, you know. And you need the foreign investors, because they're going to come in and assist and fund and advise and the rest, and work with you, because you have the land and you have the people here, so they do the training. So that investment forum kind of enlighten and also bring the sponsors closer to the business here in Nigeria and keep on continuing. That's why we think that it will continue on a yearly basis now.
Okay. Should we have to wait on a yearly basis? What are the stopgaps to actually...
No, not necessary. And in some of the continent, I know in Europe, in Americas, and even in Asia, they do have conferences whereby Nigerians are invited over there. So it's not bringing the investors, it's now taking Nigerians out of their comfort zone there. So that continued throughout. There are calendars. Each continent have their own specific programs that they run. It's a year-long activities going on.
So
like today we're having the Diaspora Day here in New York. They're having a investment forum that they're having at the embassy, consulate there. So you know, you just go in and out. You choose where you want to go.
Okay, what the underlying message for every one of you that have come? And for those you brought their own message down here, everyone could not come, definitely. Right. So the underlying message that this year's forum is looking at, just in a few seconds, what is that message and how do you hope to push it further?
Oh, well, you can never stop trying. We want to see a Nigeria where we have the full potentials of what this country can offer, and the full potentials of what we individuals also can offer. And so the message is, we'll keep trying, we'll get it right, and for a man who seeks, find it, according to the Bible. And so we will continue to engage the government, we continue to synergize, and see exactly how best we can key into the government's economic program for the benefit of our people.
Okay. Elijah?
You mentioned earlier as far as the commission. As I said, commission is a blessing. And the commission now is a hub where everything gets filtered. In the past, when you bring investment, you're on your own, you're trying to push it and the rest. So now you can interface with the commission to assist or direct where you will get the most assistance to be able to help pick up. Because it's startup. Once you start, you start doing, you become an example to others.
Okay. Now, quickly, I know it's time now. For some of you that have been engaged in the administration's day-to-day activities, or at least being given one opportunity to serve, what's any frustration from that side on how things are being done, or what exactly are the complaints? You said it all.
Okay. It's, I mean, things need to change. They don't answer emails, they don't have a functioning website, and appointments are not kept on time. And it seems that's the most scary thing. It seems to them it doesn't really matter. And when they ask you, they say you stay too much, so long abroad. And so we are hoping that those little things, one should begin to take them very serious. Right. Time is money. Time is money.
Honorable Ken Bandi, Chairman, Nigerians in Diaspora Organization, Europe. Thank you so much for coming on the program. We appreciate your time, and we wish you and your fellow diasporans all the very best. And as you travel back, just keep representing us well.
Thank you.
We are proud of every one of you. I also like to appreciate Alhaji Abdullahi Dauda, the board member, USA, and also co-chair organizing committee Diaspora Day 2019. It was great having you here.
Thank you very much.
We also appreciate your time with us. Tomorrow is another time to join us on the program, Nigeria Today, same time, and that'll be at 7:30 in the evening. My name is Blessing Abu. Goodbye.